Hi guys, I wanted to make a really quick video to show you the absolute basics of DJing. Pretty much your first 10-15 minutes on DJ decks, what everything is, the bare bones. Now all DJ decks are different. Mine are the DDJ SX2 by Pioneer, but there are loads of different DJ decks, and what I'm going to be teaching you is so basic it'll apply across the board. I've got a GoPro strapped to my chest so you can see everything I'm doing with my hands. Okay, so basics of DJing is you've got one track playing and then you line up the second track with only you listening to the second track. So the audience don't hear it. You play it in your ear, you get it ready, and when that track comes to the point where you want to move to this track, you can press play and this track will be playing, but the audience don't have to hear how you're preparing this second track. That's basically the basics of it. So you'll have one track here while you're queuing up this track in your ear, then you press play here and then you do the same back over this side, so you'll queue this one up, and it basically goes back and forth, back and forth. Everything from this side to the left of the DJ decks is queuing is for this track basically, and everything on the right hand side is for this track. Okay, so first things first, playing the track. That's the play button and the pause button. The cue button is important, so if you decide you don't want to go from the beginning of the track, you want to go about 4 bars into the track, you can use the jog wheel to move forward to the point you want to start, get it on the exact point or on a bar that you want, and then while it's paused you can click the cue button and it puts a little marker there. Now that's really important because say if this track is running and you want to get the beat sorted on this side, you can press the cue button and it'll take you from that point in the song. So you can press it, hold it, and you can practice. Alternatively, if the track is playing, you can press the cue button, it'll pause the track and take you back to your cue point. So play it, and that's taking me back to my cue point. Again, I'm going to breeze over that bit because it's probably a bit more complicated, but I just want to give you the absolute basics. Moving forward or back in a track, there's 3 ways to do it. The first way is to put your finger directly on top of the disc and move it forward or move it back, and obviously if you want to scratch you can do it that way. The second way to move forward or back is to just touch the side of the disc, and what this does is it moves the tracks forward slowly or back. You can hear it, but it's moving so slowly. Now what this is perfect for is if you're trying to beat match and you've got this track going boom boom boom, and you click play, and this one slightly out of this track, it'll sound like this, boom 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 boom. So what you can do is you can nudge the track forward by milliseconds to line up the beats. The third way to move forward on the track is this little kind of trackpad type thing here, where you can actually put it on, and if you look at the screen, this is where we are. Let me just move that up a bit. We're here, and I can put my finger on there and scan through the whole song depending on where my finger is on this trackpad. So that's if you say, well, I want to just quickly get to the second drop, so you can move forward and then you can kind of be a bit more specific and get it to that point. So there's 3 ways to move forward or back. The third thing you might want to do is just adjust the tempo of the song, the speed of the song. So say for example, this track is running at 126 BPM and this is running at 128, which is beats per minute. So 90 beats per minute is a slower track, it'll be 90 in a minute, and 128 would be a much faster track, 120 would be more like that. If they're similar tempo, you can say if this one is 126 and this is 128, you could potentially slow down this track using the tempo here, or speed up this track here, so you can bring them in and they should be running at exactly the same speed, and then throughout the song you can balance these back out and no one will really notice. So that's another feature which is really important. These here are just simply volume faders. So even though I said everything from here to the left is controlling this side, actually just this is controlling this, and just this is controlling this. I've got this to control. If I wanted to plug my iPhone in, I could plug my iPhone into the back in case I want to play songs off my iPhone, and I can have this controlling my iPhone, and if I want, and I have this controlling my microphone. That's what I do. So what are these? These control the volume. So say for example I press play here, I can turn that down, or I can turn it up, or I can affect the low, so I can take away the bass notes. So if you listen, and it thins it out, or I can thin out the mids, or I can thin out the highs, or I can do a high pass or a low pass. So if I turn it to the left, it cuts out all the highs. So it's almost like if I move this to the left, it's like this one's being brought down, then this one's being brought down, then this one's being brought down. So you can hear it now. It cuts all of the highs. So it's exactly the same as going like this. And it's exactly the same if I want to cut the lows, I can turn it up. And it's exactly the same as doing this. Cutting the lows, cutting the mids, and leaving the highs. So I can do this. And it's exactly the same as turning the bass down, turning the mids down, and leaving you with the highs. Now you use this, so if you're blending two tracks together, you might have this track playing, but you take away the bass, which would be the drum, and you can start playing this track, but you take away the highs and the mids, so you've just got the drum of this track playing underneath this track. So remember, you've taken that drum away, you only have the drums playing on this track, or the lower frequencies, and this track plays underneath this track, and then you can begin to take away the highs and mids of this track and blend in the highs and mids of this track. Or you can even just do a really simple thing, which is you just kind of do a high pass, which is exactly like doing that. So it just leaves you with the bass notes of this, and then you can press play and you can bring in the highs and fade out, bring in the highs of this track and fade out the highs of this track. So basically the two tracks merge, and you have to balance that out while bringing up the volume steadily as well. But this video isn't really about technique. This is just me telling you what the different things do, and I thought I'd tell you that because it helps you understand a bit better why these knobs are there and what the point of them is. So the other thing as well is these are effects. So for example, you can set different effects to each one, such as an echo or a reverb, and you can turn it on, and then you can add the echo. Or you can take it away. And what that's really good for, which I found, is if you want to just quickly stop a track and start another track, you can add reverb, and then you can potentially bring in the second track. Sorry, I had to go there and I had someone at the door, and because I've got this GoPro attached to my chest pointing down, I thought it looked a bit dodgy answering the door with this thing on, so I had to take the whole thing off and then go and quickly answer the door. So, just to round up this video, the other thing which took me a while to work out is how on earth do you have one track playing and listen to the other track. So what you do is you're going to have one track playing at full volume. So say that just keeps playing there. Oh, I've still got the delay on. You have to make sure that you take these effects off, or otherwise it messes up the song big time, so you can just turn them off there. Then you can turn the volume all the way down on the other track and you can press play. Now this one is currently playing, we just can't hear it because the volume's down. And if we can't hear it without these on, see, these aren't making any noise either. So what you do is you can press this Q button. And suddenly you're hearing this while your audience is actually hearing. So that's how it's done. It took me a while to work that one out because I just couldn't find, there weren't any videos around to teach you the absolute basics. So I was thinking, yeah, but how can I listen to one track and you press the Q button, you turn the volume all the way down, you press the Q button. So it's perfect then. Now I think that's pretty much all of it. This you can use to just blend between two tracks, but actually most of the videos I saw said no one really uses this. I mean, unless you're doing mixing and stuff, but again, this video, unless you're doing scratching I mean, but this video is really all about just teaching you the basics. So actually most of the tutorials I saw said just turn this off, so I've turned it off, and when I'm doing my mixing I just tend to kind of blend two by bringing one track down and one track up. But yeah, this is basically it. This is the absolute basics. This is what took me a while to learn. Obviously I assume you know how to plug it all in and everything. So that's it. I hope it's kind of been helpful, and I hope I've taught you the basics and it makes a bit more sense now. If you have any questions, let me know and I'll answer them. Okay, cheers, bye.